Hello, good afternoon, good day. Okay, my name is Dr. Kemi Adetuyi-Olu-Francis, and I'm taking you through this lecture as a continuation or a concluding part of the previous lecture, and it is all about language awareness and early childhood education. Our area of focus on this lecture is broken down into these areas. We have factors that affect or influence children's language awareness, phonemic awareness and language, multilingual diversity, components of literacy in children's oral language, and lastly, we're going to be considering physical approach, that is TPR, that is total physical response. Okay, so let's go. Regarding the factors that affect or influence children's language awareness, motivation for language learning is crucial. When a child sees the language, the relevance of the language to his life, the child is more likely to take the risk of learning the language. It's a new challenge, and everyone wants to, stay on their oasis. But when you see the importance and the need and the relevance of the new knowledge, then you're more likely to be sold out for it. So this is also applicable to preschoolers. You make the child to see the importance of the language, and the child is willing and ready to acquire those new vocabularies, those new words, those new expressions in a different language, different from the one the child is used to. The child's home language and home language exposure to different languages or different expressions will also play a key role here. Parents who prioritize language learning are more likely to push their children to continue learning languages, and irrespective of the challenges that may come with it. Okay, learning a foreign language enhances the child's ability to translate skills, as they recognize language rules and patterns even with different vocabulary, and this will make them to be able to adapt to new linguistic environments irrespective of their age. Learning environments, including the classroom atmosphere and the school culture, significantly influences the child's motivation and acquisition of language skills. This also influences the child's overall learning experience. If the environment is not conducive enough, it will affect the language awareness of the child. But if the environment is conducive, it will influence the language awareness of the child. The language teachers use various strategies like films, skits, immersion experience, and rote vocabulary memorization, to improve the learner's comprehension of language concepts and cater to different learning style. And if every teacher adopts this strategy, learning will be more fascinating, more attractive to students, to the pupils. So our focus is the preschoolers, and at this age, they pay attention to what they see, what they hear. You to make them to be aware of the languages in the environment, you are expected to also use these strategies to capture their attention, to attract them to learning new languages in their environment. Like in the previous lecture, like changing the nursery rhymes to diverse languages will help them to pick interest in languages that are available in their environment. Extrovert, introvert, that is learning, that's a student's personality traits, also is a factor that either affect or influence the learning of the main language awareness of the child. The introverts, they take longer time to acquire new new thing, they take their time. You don't rush them and they don't jump into, new experiences. But unlike the extroverts, ready and eager at all time. They want to explore. So the extroverts are more willing to try new thing, new skill, new experience, new vocabulary, and this is also applicable to language awareness. They want to know what you call this in your language, how do you express this, how do you explain this, and all of that. So this also affect or influence the child's language awareness. Learning environment is critical. Now, another thing is language learning motivation, which relies on the child's comfort in the new linguistic environment. This can also enhance, the learning, their language awareness. So, how can this be done? The language learning motivation relies on the child's comfort in the learning environment. This can be enhanced by the teacher becoming a supportive teacher. You must be supportive. You must be welcoming. You must be warm. You must be ready to, you know, um, accept the child as the child is, and working on the child's strength and improving on the child's weakness. How not every child wants to learn new things, like we said, in relation with the child's personality traits. So, since the child is not, if a child is not willing and not ready, you don't, kill the child's morale by talking the child down. You just try to motivate the child. If you say that, okay, watching multi multilingual, multimedia show like a video or music or animation is not attractive to the child, you can bring in games. You can bring in games. It can be dice game and all that. All of this will also, motivate or influence the learning, strategy of the child. The language awareness of the child. Excuse me. There's something we call phonemic awareness. When we talk about phonemic awareness in language awareness, it is the understanding that spoken words can be broken down into smaller sound units. And these sound units are phonemes. They are phonemes, okay? So when you break this down, this is how rhymes are, formulated. And then when you bring this to diverse languages, you're making the child to be aware. That's what we call phonemic awareness. So early exposure to rhymed text helps the child. So like the example I gave in the previous lecture was row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Please don't mind my voice. I'm managing, a level of stress. Also, it has affected my voice. So when row, row, row your boat, you're breaking down the spoken words into phonemes. And this also happen in other languages. So the child who is not willing to, you know, follow suit, by the time you're introducing the rhymes, the child will be, interested because the rhythm of the rhyme will captivate the attention of the child. So another aspect where phonemic awareness also touches on reading styles. We're talking about children, and most of them cannot read to themselves. So, but the time you read to them in the languages you want them to be aware of, at home, the parents maybe read in their local languages or even in English, but in school, you read to them in different languages, you know, as a teacher, as a preschooler teacher. You teach them, you read to them. So children who aren't read to, need to learn this concept once in school. So they cannot, since if the children have parents who do not read to them, then it is in school that you're going to teach them, you're going to help them develop this aspect. You read to them in different languages, simple sentences, simple expressions, even words. There is what we call um, a book in English. A book in English is called Iwe in Yoruba. It is called Kae in French. I have a limited exposure to languages, but at least English, French, Yoruba. So I stop there. But if I'm picking something else, if I pick water, they tell a child water in English. In French, it is l'eau. In Yoruba, it is omi. In Igbo, it is miri. You know, in in Hausa, in Hausa, it is I think of water in Hausa is, I've forgotten. Sorry, excuse me. But just like that. Also, um, give me some water. Give me some water. Simple sentences. You don't go too far. Simple sentence, because these are little children. Give me some water. That is English. In Yoruba, fún mi lómi díẹ̀. Fún mi lómi díẹ̀. In Yoruba. In French, don't forget, I'm bringing French because French is our second official language in Nigeria. Either you take it or you leave it. It is not debatable. The policy has it. So I'm bringing French. Donne-moi de l'eau. Donne-moi de l'eau. Now, in Igbo, nye mmiri. Nye mmiri. I think water is kaswa. I don't know. So if water is kaswa in Hausa, then it will be, I think, give me in Hausa is, I don't know. Excuse me. Okay, so, cow, thank you. I remember. Cow, kaswa. Kaswa is business. Oh, God. Excuse me. I think, what is water in Hausa? That's serious. I've forgotten. I used to know, but I've forgotten. So I'm just saying this is a fun in language awareness class. You're not really having a class you call language awareness, but you're inculcating that in your whole activities. As you take the children, you bring them through this, like, okay, let them just be aware that other languages exist in their environment. So now I want to bring us to what we call multilingual diversity. In multilingual diversity, for for preschooler, migrant and refugee families are faced with challenges during transition. Some children have migrated from one linguistic environment to another. So these challenges, in transition must not be neglected. Don't forget, the child belongs to a culture, and there is a culture where the child is also learning. So maintaining these cultural and linguistic barriers is critical, and you must be aware of it as a child, as a teacher, and you must not deprive the child that opportunity of transiting successfully. So this is one aspect that requires your expertise as a teacher. And this multilingual diversity often leads to misunderstandings and misinterpretations, especially for family who are just who are just trying to pick English. And don't forget, English is our own lingua franca. If the child is coming from a remote area and is coming into your school, into your class, struggling with English, you as a teacher, you must deploy your expertise to help the child to gain his or her feet in the new linguistic environment. Children that struggle to pick up a language, especially this language of instruction, lingua franca, language of the environment, and the major language of the school environment is English. So when they struggle to pick the language, they feel frustrated, they feel powerless, they feel alienated. And you, as a teacher, you need to support them and help them to stabilize and gain their feet in this new linguistic environment. So, to conclude this lecture, we want to look at the TPR, and that is total physical response. It's a little bit theoretical, but it's not far-fetched. Physical approach, that is, the creator and developer of TPR, is Dr. James Asher. Dr. James Asher is a philosopher. Uh, psychologist. Okay, it's a language method. It's a language method, and it's about teaching method that languages, supports languages that brings about a child responding to the requirement of the physical environment, irrespective of the language barrier. This teaching method, it pays attention to the physical environment, the mental engagement of the child. That is about total response. How, when there is heat, that atmosphere of hotness, how do the children, the pupils, respond to their learning activities? What is the mental response or mental disposition of these children? You are dealing with preschoolers. You are dealing with children between the ages of 3 months and 6 years. You must be active in understanding their expressions, facial expression, body language. This is total response. So it is more of psychology. And you, as a preschooler teacher, you must be, active in noting the psyche of your children. Students respond to commands that require physical movement at this level. So this allows you as a teacher to have access, to weigh their comprehension and to weigh their, the effective response that is coming from them. So this is what TPR is all about. It's theoretical, yes. So on this note, I want you to explore Dr. James Asher's book. It's not a book per se, but it's an article. It's article on learning another language through actions. So I need you to go through it and critique it, a critique of that article. So that will be your term paper. Do a critique of Dr. James J. Asher's article on learning another language through action, the 6th edition. You give it a holistic, exposition of the TPR. So this helps you as a preschool teacher to understand how action can govern learning awareness of pupils under your care. So I thank you very much for your attention, and I think I want to draw the curtain here. Bye for now.